Good morning. It's Tuesday morning, and we begin Matthew 12 today, which says, "At that time, Jesus went through the grain fields on the Sabbath. His disciples were hungry, and they began to pluck heads of grain to eat. When the Pharisees saw it, they said to him, 'Look, your disciples are doing what is not lawful to do on the Sabbath.' He said to them, 'Have you not read what David did when he and his companions were hungry? He entered the house of God and ate the bread of the presence, which it was not lawful for him or his companions to eat, but only the priests. Or have you not read in the law that on the Sabbath the priests in the temple break the Sabbath and yet are guiltless? I tell you, something greater than the temple is here. But if you had known what this means, I desire mercy and not sacrifice, you would not have condemned the guiltless. For the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath.'" So in those days, you planted a field of corn or wheat or whatever, and there were paths that went, footpaths that went between the fields and cut across the corners and stuff. And these were all well-established paths. And so when you were reaping the grain, you would leave some at the edge there along the path for people to eat if they were hungry. And some of the poor would go out on those paths and get the grain. So the disciples are walking along, and they're hungry, so they pull off heads of grain to eat, which doesn't sound appetizing to me at all, but that's what they did. And the Pharisees, of course, who are sticklers for everything in the ceremonial law, say, "Oh, you can't do that on the Sabbath." Well, because, you see, harvesting grain is work, and that would be too much like work if you were to pluck a head of grain. And Jesus says, "Don't you remember when King David and it says companions, but it's soldiers, a bunch of soldiers, went into the tent where the tabernacle, where the Israelite religious center before they built the temple. They went into the tabernacle and took the bread that was there on the plate for the equivalent of going into some church and eating the communion bread, I suppose, though much more ritual, holy, much. What am I trying to say? It would be a much greater thing to do what King David did than anything we could imagine as a parallel. Well, anyway, Jesus says, the Son of Man is Lord of the Sabbath, and the Son of Man is greater than the temple. And the prophet said, "I desire mercy and not sacrifice." So God is interested in how you behave, not whether you do this or that thing on the Sabbath. The Old Testament is filled with laws of moral laws, ritual laws, laws for the Jewish priests, and they're all jumbled in there together. So for us, sometimes it's hard to know what are the things that we should do and what are the things that we can let slide. I remember when I was in college, my family moved to a new town, and I met some people there once, and one woman said, "Well, you should come to our children's Bible study." They were about my age. You'll enjoy it. They've stopped eating ham sandwiches because of what the Old Testament taught them. And I managed to keep my mouth shut until that person left, and I said to my parents, "Have they never read Galatians, which would teach them that you don't have to obey all those ritual laws about avoiding pork and stuff that are in the Old Testament?" And our challenge is always to find the balance, which things are okay and which things are not okay. But our challenge is also to live our lives according to what Jesus says, "I desire mercy and not sacrifice," and to live our lives in a way that demonstrates His love, first of all. So there you go. That's today's issue. And if you are busy policing other people and their obedience to the law or worrying about your own, stop. It's okay. See you tomorrow.